Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Yeah, say something.
1, 2, 1, 2.
1, 2. You're gonna sing a little bit.
Ooh, yeah. Is that good?
You sound great too.
Okay, good.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
We about to do this.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Tomb Slayer podcast, the place where we have resurrectional conversations. And indeed, I just made that word up. Today's guest, I am so excited to have. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. This lady is one of the most influential people that is responsible for preparing me to walk into my purpose. And I'm not exaggerating a little bit. And we'll get into that. Ladies and gentlemen, you have sang her songs in your sanctuaries. You have sang her songs in your services. You have sang her songs in your showers. Some of you should only sing her songs in your showers. Ladies and gentlemen, Martha Munizzi.
Hey, Khristian Dentley.
Oh my gosh, I am so...
I don't know if you're my son or my brother. Which one would it be? Let's not take that name. But you know what? Let's say you're my brother, because you are.
Oh my gosh.
This is awesome.
I am literally, when I was contemplating what I was going to say to bring you on, I almost teared up, because you are one of the people literally that prepared me for walking into all of this that God is having me walk in. And like, I'm in Orlando because of you. Do you know that?
Really?
Yes. You are the one who... I blame you. No,
it's on me.
It is on you. It is on you. No, but you're the one that told Dave Martin about me. Yes.
Oh goodness. I gotta probably give Dan some credit for that. My husband Dan is a connector of all connectors. So yes. But of course I've raved behind his. I was raving going, yes, yes, yes.
I love it. I love it. I mean, your music, I have so much that I want to talk to you. I want to start off by saying, do you remember when I almost died in Dallas, Texas?
I do remember. I absolutely remember. I remember. And we were like, where is Khristian?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for those of you, because nobody knows this story, so I'll tell a story. We are going to, what was it? Was it GMA or something like Gospel Music Workshop for America?
It was something.
We were in Dallas, Texas at the Omni Hotel. I'll never forget. I was on the 15th floor.
I remember.
I get in the elevator to go downstairs to the lobby to probably get a snack or something like that. And while I'm in the elevator, I hear pow, 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 and start free falling in the elevator, just like, whew. And it everything happened so fast. A couple of seconds later, I started hearing like the brakes or whatever, and the elevator starts going do 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 do, and finally stop. And I'm like, okay, heart's beating fast. You know, I need to put my heart back in my body, but I'm okay. Everything stopped or whatever. I have my cell phone. So I made a couple of phone calls. Hey, that was just me in the elevator. I'm not sure. We need to send somebody. I pushed a little button to have the people, come or whatever. And I remember taking pictures sitting on the elevator floor. And for me, it was a big adventure, really. I didn't realize, sometimes when you're young, you don't realize the danger that you're in. And so I remember I heard your voice. You came, I think I stopped like on the 3rd floor or something like that. I heard your voice outside the elevator. And you know how like literally when you hear your mom's voice or a soothing voice, like, hey, I'm here. I was like, this peace came over me. I'm like, okay, cool. My people are here. I'm going to be okay. Then
not in the between heaven and hell.
Yes. Like, I don't know where I'm going. Oh, there's Martha's voice. She's definitely going to heaven. I'm going with her. So they open up the elevator. The elevator pops up because I saw that I was between floors. The doors open and I saw I was between floors, and then it popped up. And Martha, it felt like somebody pushed me from behind, and I jumped out of the elevator. And as soon as I came out of the elevator, all the cabling and stuff came crashing down on top of the thing. It was incredible. And then we went and sang that night. I
know.
It was
I
wild.
think we were actually on our way to sound check.
Yeah, we were supposed to be on our way to sound check.
Where is Khristian? There is no excuse for this. We put you in a hotel. We had no clue. You were hanging, and the life was hanging in balance.
And I was all in trouble. We're docking his pay. He's not getting paid for. No, but seriously, these are the kinds of things, experiences. When you talk about sound check and lobby call, I would not have been prepared for any of this if it weren't for you. One of the biggest and coolest things that I saw you do was, every time we showed up at the airport, no matter what time, you would always be dressed in your best, your hair looking great, face look. I mean, it was like, I'm like, what? It's 4 a.m. Why is Martha? What are you doing? What was that all about?
You know what? Here's how I see it. Okay. Life, you don't know how long your life's going to be. And I just believe in looking your best as much as you can everywhere you go. And I live in I kind of live in the mentality of expectation. Anything can happen. Anybody can pull up and say, hey, you want to grab a picture? I could be in any kind of encounter with anybody.
That's true.
And that's part of it. But then part of it is just, it's easy to put my makeup on in the morning as soon as I wake up, because then it never gets put on the rest of the day. And then there's just your vanity. I mean, let's be real. No one needs to see me without makeup. That's just would be not fair to them.
But it was, I don't know if certain things that you do and certain things that we do as believers, sometimes we just walk. You remember where Peter was just walking down the street, and I think it was Peter or Paul, one of the two. They were just walking down the street and their shadow was healing people. Sometimes people get caught in our stray, so to speak. We're just doing what we do every day, and people are being affected by it. And I think that was big for me. I haven't joined the party all the way yet, because sometimes I just like throwing some sweats on. I like to throw on some sweats and go to the airport and just get on the plane. But it was amazing. It was amazing to see, and you were consistent. That's another thing that I learned from you, was consistency. Regardless of how many interviews or sound checks or signings or whatever challenges, you were always consistent. And I think that's big, because a lot of people aren't. That if something doesn't work the way that it should, or the way that our expectation is, we get out of sorts. So how do you maintain that consistency?
I think, I just believe that what God said is what God said. And beyond that, I just believe in just keeping a good attitude. It's better than not having a good attitude. Like I don't normally wake up in a bad mood anyway. I pretty much I might have some things I'm not excited about, or I'm frustrated and working through or whatever. But by the time my feet hit the floor and I'm up and I'm getting ready, I'm already thinking, man, this is going to be a day that I don't want to miss anything, and I have a job to do and I'm on mission. Whatever I'm doing, even if I'm at home, I want to feel like I've accomplished some things. Probably my husband sees the worst side of me. Maybe my kids would be second. But just don't get on my nerves, and we're great. That's how it is. And I'm very clear about what gets on my nerves, and other than that, we're good. But my mother is one of those people. She's 82, and any time of the day, every day of the week, you can call my mother. And she has more energy than me. She is happier than me. She's like, hey, always, no matter what's going on. She might have a little bit here or there, but her down moments are most people's up moments.
Wow.
So she leads that way. She's always been that way. And I strive to just be a person of lean into joy, lead with joy. There's no reason to be frustrated. We're not. And the other day I was calling her and I talked to her about something that was just really rubbing me wrong. I was really frustrated, and she got mad at me for being upset about it.
Wow. And
she was like, none of this matters. She said, I've got a lot less days on this earth than you do. Whoa. And I'm not spending one day talking about this, because you're not going to die from it. You're going to live. It's all silly. And none of it matters in the light of eternity. I feel like in our generation today, people see that as like toxic positivity. And I think it's kind of a subtle way to attack, in my mind, what the Bible teaches is that this is the day God has made. We will rejoice and be glad. That it's that medicine. It's the key to a great day. It's the key to writing great songs. It's the key to being in the presence of the Lord. It's the key for people 25 years later saying, you're always, consistent. You're always happy. Why is that? Because every day I try to get up and say, I'm not wasting this on negativity. I'm not going to get upset because I'm standing in a long line. But I've disciplined myself over the years and stayed present with the Holy Spirit to know that moment that I'm the most aggravated could be the moment that God has divinely orchestrated an encounter with somebody. And I know that makes me sound super spiritual, and that's not what I'm say.
To me, it doesn't.
But thank you. But my heart, I'm just saying, I've learned that over the years. I've learned that there is a spiritual battle going on, and that the enemy is trying to kill my joy and steal my testimony. And I got to stay alert and present if I really believe there's a spiritual battle. And again, that's the way my mind thinks. Just, I have to be alert, present, ready for whatever God wants to do. And I know the enemy at any moment can derail that. And I just refuse to let traffic get on my nerves. And some of it is just my temperament.
Right.
But for the most part, I do try to practice just having a good attitude. Keep joy in your life.
That's so good. And when you live from that place and you write from that place and you love from that place, it literally makes it brings colors to life. There are three things that, like, literally while you were talking, three quick things that came to my mind when you were talking about how a lot of times your husband sees the worst. He sees the worst of you. Our spouses, they do. Let me ask you this question. Is it a challenge because there are a lot of wives that are watching that are bosses in their space. They're doctors and they're this and they're that, and they're on the top of their game, right? They're in the front, like you're in the front. You're leading the charge in a lot of ways. Is it difficult as a wife to submit to your husband as unto the Lord when you are in the front like that?
Okay, Khristian Dentley, this is a whole other podcast. How much time do we have? I cannot believe this is a podcast. This is huge right here, because this is where I am living right now.
Come on, Jesus. Come on, Jesus.
I'm telling you, it's probably the top conversation that I've had the last 2 years, especially 2024. And one of the things, and I'm going to try to answer it quickly because I know we have others. But I'm not kidding you. We need to have another. I'm just saying. I'm not inviting me back on your show. I'm just saying we need to do this for something else. Anyway, but the Lord really began to speak to me because our church, we planted a church 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, if you think about the pre-work we did. And I'm the main communicator. That I'm the primary communicator. I preach almost every Sunday. I have a few other people on the team that preach. And my husband is, Dan, he is more administrative. He's an executive pastor of our church.
That is his gift, for sure.
That is his gift. And he has done phenomenal. I got to tell you, he's done phenomenal. He'll get up and he'll receive the offering. He'll do like a little, like a prayer. He's using more of a communication. He's developing that frontman communication pastoral role. And in the beginning, I've always wanted him to be more present, but I just in my mind didn't think that he had that ability to do it, that I'm the one with the gift. I'm the one that can get up and share and minister and prophesy. But then I realized that's not what builds a church. And I've had to learn over the years that, and he's had to learn he's got to step forward, but I've got to step back.
Woo.
And it is amazing what my sister told me this, Mary, she said, you won't believe who will stand up when everybody else sits down. And only I could really, that's profound, probably the most to me, because I've never done it in a way of like, I'm trying to usurp authority or I'm trying to be dominating over. Listen, you've been on the run with me.
Yeah.
Munizzi's in charge.
Right.
He's in charge. He can make me think like I'll go on I want to be in charge and we're going to do it my way. And he'll go, okay, honey. And then the next day we're doing it his way. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is.
Right.
That's just what it is. And the Holy Spirit is leaning into me the last 12, 18 months to say, you've got to pull back. You've got to trust the God in my husband. I have so many giftings in my mind. I've got so many abilities and I've developed it because I've been in the front, and now I've got to step back and let you lead in areas that I'm so gifted in and you're just getting started. And the answer is yes. And I've got to trust that God honors that. And I hear people say, should women pastor? Should women lead? And I don't think the question is should. I believe the Bible is very clear that women have a role. I mean, I don't think that's the question here on the table. And I don't think we're asking the right question for women who are leading at home, women who might be the breadwinners. I think that's something that needs to be addressed. Yeah. And depending on the circumstance, because I think that's happening more and more. Women are getting careers in nursing and as lawyers. We see it in our church constantly. Single mothers, single women who are the breadwinners, and they don't want to be. Most women I know don't want to lead their home. They want the man to do it. But because that spot has been a little empty, or they've not learned how. They've had a single mother. They've had a strong mother. Yeah. They don't know that there takes a humbling. And I'm all over the place with this because
this is so good. It's so rich. Keep going. Keep going.
You do have to step back. It's like watching your 2-year-old. Okay, forget the 2-year-old analogy. Let's talk about your 16-year-old. Yeah. Okay, get them behind the wheel of a car.
Oh,
everything in you wants to go, get over, scoot over. I got this. but they can't learn if you don't let them drive. But we want them to drive the way we would drive. We want them to go the way we would go. No, you've got to get out of the way and let them screw it up, let them mess it up, and trust that God can fix it. Because the question, and I'll go back to this, the question we should be asking is not women, if women can, but should we? Ooh. In this environment that we see today, we have so many, we need more strong men. Let me put it that way. We need men at the forefront.
We do.
We need strong men. And men are not going to be, most men that I know, they've got great hearts. They're not going to keep pushing their way. They want to be honored. They want to be respected. They want to be revered. They want to be submitted to. What man wants to have to constantly go, sit down? I don't want to, no good man wants that. They want to find a wife or a spouse, their wife that will say, babe, I'm submitting to you in this.
Yeah.
I'm turning the keys over to you, and you might mess it up. You might get it right, but God is in charge of all of that. Yeah. And I've had to, that's a long answer, but that's been my heart in this season is hand you the keys. Ooh. You go, and I'm your biggest champion.
What are some of the things that wives can do or women can do to prepare themselves to be under that grace, to allow that to happen more smoothly? Because sometimes it's tough because, when you know who I want to say, who the boss is or whatever, but that's not what I want to use. When you know that the grace is on your wife to be in the forefront, but you also know that you're responsible as a husband to cover your house and to lead your family. And you're not the one that's bringing in the most money. You're not the one who's the one that's sought after. What are some of the things that women can do to help undergird and uplift their husbands in those spaces?
I think it is an intentional act every day for women to honor their husband. And it's a by faith effort. We're not talking about they deserve it, they've earned it. That's not what we're talking about. This is about a God honoring principle. That's all it is. I say that's all it is, as if that's simple, but it's a principle. We don't live by feeling. We don't live even by experience. We live by principle. And what God's principle says goes. And that's why I say, it's not if we should, we can, but there are times where we just say, okay, if I keep running in this lane and I don't step back, then my spouse never has a chance to step up. And I have a lot of women in my life whose husbands, man, they're still, playing around. They're still being squirrely. They're still, not what they need to be. So I understand that role too. Yeah. But just because your husband is not fulfilling the role does not mean that God's going to cover you if you try to fill it. I never see.
Wait.
I told you.
What did you just say? Just because,
husband is not fulfilling the role he's supposed to fulfill does not mean God's grace is on you if you try to fulfill it. That's where the frustration is. Let me ask you a second, Khristian, let me ask you a question. Do you ever hear a man say, I have to be mother and father to my child?
I have heard that.
Okay. But you more likely hear women say,
I have to be father and mother. Jeez.
You hear women say that I have to be, well, you can't be.
Because you don't have the grace to do that.
How can you be? How can you be? Well, that's not fair. Let's put more pressure on the wife. The single mom, the widow. I understand. That's not my point. That's not what I'm saying.
I understand.
My point is, if there's a bottle of Coke with the lid off and it's just laying on the counter and it's spilling everywhere, the biggest thing is we're not going to clean up the mess before we pick up the Coke bottle. Ooh. We're going to stop spilling. We're going to put the lid back on, and then we're going to clean up the mess.
You are on one today.
I'm just telling you this. Yesterday was Sunday, and I was in another realm. But I'm just saying, I'm just telling you, this is 56 years. I just turned 56. I've learned a few things. And before you think I've got this down pat, I do not. This is where the enemy is probably my biggest Achilles heel, is this right here. This is why I speak with authority, because I understand it.
All right, good people, listen up now. If you enjoyed that episode, trust me, there's a lot more where that came from. So make sure you subscribe to Tombslayer YouTube page, because you don't want to miss one of these conversations. You don't want to miss this sweet, sweet hat game either now.